Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from Staying Gamers, and welcome. So a week or two ago, I released a video giving you some ideas on how you can better or enhance your designs using a whole variety of different methods, such as ribbing, adding details into different areas, as well as an interior detail bit. Of course, if you missed this video, then definitely go and watch it. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. But I showed you how you can contrast colors, and especially from a distance, add definition with dark areas and ribbing, as well as using half-built blocks to all just enhance the design of your ship. Today, many of you guys asked me, is there a more simple way of designing ships? How do I actually do it in my head? So I thought I'd get inside my head and show you how I actually design a ship. So what I first want to show you is this little drone on the left, and I want to talk you through my mental process when it comes to designing it. Since it's such a simple craft, I'll only take 1 or 2 seconds explaining it. So before I build a ship, I like to think of a story behind it. For this case, this is a small drone. Now this drone faction that I've been building, or we built for the survival series, the whole idea is they're very smart, they're very sleek. So when it comes to sleek and smartness, I'm thinking very uniform looking design. I'm looking for curved edges, something very sort of aesthetically pleasing. And what I've also got is these little ramp areas that tuck into the engine bay in the center, so you can actually see the engine bay from both sides. Now what's missing off the design is the side thrusters, because I've not got the modification on this server. But you can see how by thinking what this is designed or going to be beforehand, we can create a very elegant design. Just simple things like the color, the pinkish sort of purple color is a very sort of alien tone. If I turn my light on and off, you can see how it reflects differently to the light, and it's just an unusual color to see on a ship, so it makes you think there's something a bit different about that particular ship there. Now what I wanted to show you today was 3 different design methods on these rover chassis. So we're just going to rotate a rover chassis. We're going to place one there. We're going to take another rover chassis, rotate that one around if we can, and place that there. Now, the first thing you want to think about when it comes to design is I like to break it up into 3 categories. So we can go with a very industrial sort of design. So to represent industrial on this one, we'll spray paint it grey. So you can already see by spray painting it grey, you've got this industrial sort of feel. Now, for instance, we want to do a more commercial rover. Well, a commercial sort of rover could be represented with a brighter color, so maybe this blue, as you see on that blue ship at the blue start world. So if we actually paste that in and we spray up these wheels, you can already see that it looks more commercial. It's more of a civilian sort of color. And then over in this side, so we've got our industrial, we've got our commercial, and maybe we need a more of a refinery sort of vehicle as well. So this is a sort of design process in my head. I'm using the colors to kind of just give me an idea. So green's a very sort of bio color, so we could think about what we need for each one of these. So first off, let's work on the gray one. So since this is an industrial ship, I'm thinking of something that's going to be very framed, sort of orientated in design. So let's actually build up a frame, and I'm thinking what we'll do is we'll work in the main parts of the ship first. So we'll go with a cockpit, we'll go with a cargo container. So let's find ourselves a variety of different cargo containers here, and we can see which one fits best. So I'm thinking we don't want small ones really at this moment in time. We want more of the larger caliber, but not super large. So we've got these 2 at the side here, so we can double this up. And since this is an industrial vehicle, I'm thinking if we connect them 2 together like that, we can build some sort of roll cage around them and maybe add the cockpit here to the front. I'm not too sure. I don't want it right at the front because I want to add some detail into the side. But at the same time, if this is an industrial vehicle, think we've built a very simple rover here. This might be traveling across sort of off-road terrain where it could do with perhaps some mud guards. So let's actually have a quick look what we can do here with in relevance to mud guards. Let's take that down back one, and let's try to build this up. So by doing this, I'm actually going to be building the chassis up around it, and that means I can also extend this area out. So this is just how my head's kind of thinking through the design at the moment in time. So you can see how we've got this area working on. So we're going to pop them 2 up, and we're going to also add a little bit of a curve to this mudguard. Now the mudguard might be raising a little bit too high up for my liking there, so I'm going to break that back down, and I'm going to take up one of these blocks instead, and this is just going to raise up over the mudguard. Now something to take into consideration here is we want the wheel to be able to turn. So I'm going to have to leave that little gap in the middle, but there is a way I can go around this. And what I'm going to do is actually just rotate one of them blocks over the center, so you can actually see that it's a ramp block from the inside, but this will allow my wheel to rotate, and I'll be able to preserve that sort of mudguard shape to it. So let's actually keep on adding these blocks in. So we're just going to add the rest of the mudguard. So now that the front of the mudguard's been added, we could reverse this and add this on the back area. So all I'm going to do, actually, I think in this, just to make this a little bit faster, I'm just going to cut this off. And something that you'll notice when you become a little bit of a faster builder is that you'll start deleting parts of your ship, and parts you like, you'll move around and then reattach them to each other. So say, for instance, that's almost connected there. So let's connect that there. So we've got a nice 4 area there. We've also got this beautiful little mudguard section in the middle. So we're going to need to rotate this, and we need to incorporate that cockpit into the design. And I'm thinking that we go with a cockpit that's maybe off center. So maybe one on the side. So let's actually connect that central parting up now. But we need to be careful. We need to make sure our wheels can still turn within that center. It might look nice, but if it doesn't function well, then it's not going to really matter. So let's bring that design a little bit over there. I'm going to actually switch back to my character so I can get in a little bit more precisely, because some of the movement controls on the spectator camera are not particularly amazing. So let's actually move that further forward, and I'm just going to break this area down into maybe a little bit of a roll cage, maybe an area that ramps around. I don't like these round blocks here, and since this is such an industrial design, I want to go with these sharp sort of corners on this particular area. So let's add some sharp corners in, and I'll get back to you and I'll talk you through it. Now, something that's really important when you're developing a vehicle or a spaceship or even a fighter is keep trying different variations. You might get to a stage like this where you get a little bit dead-ended. For instance, I've got to this, I don't like the idea of having 2 cockpits like that side to side. I've been trying to work on the back bit as well, thinking how am I going to fit that cargo containers in there to make it a more industrial sort of vehicle. And then I got to this sort of stage where I'm just going to rip this vehicle apart. So I'm going to grab my vehicle, I'm going to bring it over here, and I've realized there's not enough cargo area, so I'm going to have to extend the back up. So first off, let's grab ourselves another copy of the vehicle, and we want the rear section of the vehicle just past the wheels. So let's actually chop this vehicle in half and see what we can do with it. So there we go, we've got the rear section, and we're going to attempt to attach that rear section to this. So we're going to have to make a little bit of a tidy up sort of area here. We'll maybe make a little wheel brace in the gap there. So we'll attach that bit to there. This will extend the rear part of the vehicle out, allowing us to carry more. Well, that's at least the concept behind it anyway. So let's attach it from that point. So scroll this around, and you can just see how important the copy and paste tool is if you are developing a vehicle like this. So you can see the wheelbase between them rear areas kind of just giving us maybe a bit too much space. So let's actually chop that back down. I don't know if it will be able to actually attach it because the wheels might be a little bit too close here, but we can always try that out and see exactly what happens. So we're looking for a connection point there. So we've connected that up, and we've got an extended vehicle. So you can see by doing this, we can actually make a whole fleet of vehicles. So let's actually neaten this up, put back that symmetry on. Oh god, it looks like we've actually cut the vehicle or the lower vehicle part off in half. So we just have to make a quick adjustment here and grab this part and reattach it to there. That we might not be able to do just due to the way the wheels are going to be in the actually inside the chassis at this bottom part. So we might have to do a re-chop and reattach them areas in. So let's actually trim that down, and we'll do one more chance. We'll see if that fits into there. So it doesn't look like it's going to fit in there at the moment, so I'm going to have to do another modification. Be right back. So as you can see, I didn't like the cockpits. I've now fixed the cockpits by adding 2 seats. Now, it looks good this, but the problem that we're going to have here with making something look good, we're going to have to compromise by adding a remote control block so the players can actually control it. Now, since we've got this rear Jeep area, that's actually 2 rocket launchers that I just added for a little bit of detail here, we have the rear cargo bay, and the rear cargo bay can now, I believe, be actually outfitted with a larger sort of cargo container. No, it can't because the wheels are too big, so we're going to have to go with the medium cargo containers still. So let's actually fit them inside there and just have a quick look what we can do. So we can attach them along in the middle. So there we go. It still looks like we've got a cargo capacity of 2 cargo containers. Maybe we can actually mix that up. I think I've got an idea where we'll extend the capacity by adding smaller cargo containers down the side. So let's actually have a look at small ones. For the moment, this is not actually going to be connected up, but if I wanted to, I'd just add a little connector in at them various intervals. So there we go, we've got that area connected up. We've got this really exposed part on the back here that I don't like, so you can see that we need a little bit more cargo containers in here. I'm thinking we go with maximum cargo container for effect, so we've got a large storage sort of haul, and I feel like that bit on the back there is just going to cause some trouble. So let's actually have a look, because we're going to need some oxygen for this ship.
So let's get ourselves an oxygen generator, and we can stick that on the back there like so, and that should solve that issue. But there is a problem where I feel like if this thing rolls over, we're still going to have a lot of casualties. People's heads will be broken. So let's add ourselves a little bit of a roll cage, and I'm going to do this just by grabbing myself a few little blocks. So first off, let's grab ourselves this block, and then we're going to build ourselves a roll cage. So we want it to be able to cover the top of their heads. So let's actually build that up into that area, and then I'm going to use the slant of that block going into there, and then hopefully if I combine this correctly, so that at the moment looks just a little bit too sort of not sharp enough. So we've got that little bit of a corner there that I'm not liking either. So maybe we should actually create this outer bit with a different sloped sort of block. It's just a battle of constantly replacing blocks and working in different designs, even copying and pasting over from that smaller ship like this to this larger ship and building from there. You can see how the detailing is starting to come, and I can feel that I'm just imagining a situation now where how would I actually get aboard this vehicle? I need some sort of step here, so I'm gonna have to integrate maybe some sort of step into the design like so, some sort of running board that the player can actually move up onto, and by doing this you're actually just creating more and more detail into the design itself. Maybe in the center here we can actually add 2 cargo containers and have this as like a cargo container sort of step ramp. So let's actually have a look what that would look like. No, I'm not feeling that. So as you see, in idea it was a good idea, but in actual practice it looked absolutely rubbish. So that's something we want to keep testing out. So this might be another alternative. So we've got these corner blocks where we could use these corner blocks as, for instance, a step like that. So we could imagine that the player would step up them lights into the ship itself. But the problem is they are going to be light blocks, and you're going to have to turn them off then in that nature. So let's actually make this a little bit neater, and I think I'm going to go with a number 8. Rotate this around. I've got a pesky dog barking outside. Add a second ramp into this area, and have that part here in the middle as the step to get up. And while I'm doing that, I've actually added this other piece of detailing in here, so it's not just a flat slab on the side. Let's keep evolving this design. So now that we've actually completed this rover, I've just done one final adjustment to the front. I've still got quite a square area, but there's still enough view from the side. And what I really wanted to tell you guys is how you can retake this design, you can cut it up once again, and you can end up with another vehicle, and you can continuously do this. This means that you can end up from that one particular vehicle that you started designing a whole fleet and different variants of that ship. So say for instance we want the shorter one, maybe we want like a gun truck one. We could even do a 4-wheel drive one by just flipping up these wheels here, so we could maybe cut it down the center and add the cockpit in that particular manner. It's just endless as long as you've got the basic concepts. So once again, plan ahead, think of your design before you start building, and hopefully this will just give you a few thoughts on how I like to build my different rovers, my different ships, and it might help you build your own as well. I'll see you next time.